The Semitic languages are a branch of the wider Afro-Asiatic language family. Among them, the most spoken is the Arabic language, but of course there are many other branches within Semitic. One of these branches is the Northwest branch. It consists of Aramaic, which itself has many languages and dialects within it, and there's also the Canaanite branch. Of the Canaanite branch, the only living language is the Hebrew language. Various other dead Semitic languages belong to this subbranch, including the Phoenician language. The name Semitic, fun fact, comes from the word for name,
Shem.
which is also the name of one of Noah's sons. Botanically, though, it was created by members of the Göttingen School of History, and they chose the Koine Greek transliteration to name these languages, which would be Sem, but of course that word came from the Hebrew term. From the Proto-Semitic language, various languages in West Asia and northeastern Levant were spoken, all of which were mutually intelligible to some extent. As of 2023, Scott Stripling published the finding of what he claims to be the oldest known Hebrew inscription, a curse tablet from Mount Ebal, dated to the monarchic period and classified as Archaic Biblical Hebrew. The Gezer calendar is written in the Paleo-Hebrew script, where most texts are written in the square script via the Aramaic script. During the Biblical Hebrew era, various kingdoms and takeovers of these Semitic-speaking lands resulted in intermixing, linguistically and culturally. The Neo-Assyrian Empire conquered the neighboring lands and ancient Egypt, one of which being Israel, the land of the ancient Israelites. Later reconquered by the Neo-Babylonian Empire in 600 BCE, the Kingdom of Judah rebelled against the Babylonians in the year 589 BCE. The defeat led to the displacement of the Israelites to various lands including Babylon, and the Babylonian exile began the Jewish people's recording of their history and beliefs. With each generation, Hebrew was used as a religious and scholarly language, while in daily life, Aramaic was used. Cyrus the Great allowed the Jews to return to their homeland to rebuild the Temple of Jerusalem. Later in the year 332 BCE, Alexander the Great conquered the Persian Empire and split the land into the Hellenistic kingdoms, the Seleucid Empire taking over the land of Israel. After the rebellion of the Seleucid Empire and the creation of the Hasmonean Kingdom, civil wars allowed the Roman Empire to take control of the land in the year 63 BCE. 3 attempts were made to revolt against the Romans. The third attempt, the Bar Kokhba revolt from 132 to 136, had the remaining Jews in Israel to be sold to slavery, killed, or exiled. There are 3 groups of Jews based on where they migrated to. First, the Sephardic Jews. They migrated to the Iberian Peninsula. Then the Ashkenazi Jews, which entered northern, central, and eastern Europe. And the Mizrahim, located in northern Africa to Central Asia. Hebrew was still used as a liturgical language, and most speakers spoke various living languages at that time, like Yiddish, Arabic, etc., though these languages were all written in the Hebrew script. By the 18th century, the rise of Hebrew newspapers and magazines in Europe were starting to be published. Named the reviver, or father, of the Hebrew language, Eliezer ben Yehuda was the first to propose the revival of Hebrew as the symbolic and primary language of the Jewish nation in Palestine, at this time British-mandated Palestine. When diagnosed with pneumonia, he was sent to recover in Algiers, and communicated with the Jews in Hebrew. Deemed a success, the pronunciation came from Sephardic pronunciation, which was also used in British-mandated Palestine too. Moving to Palestine with his wife, their first son, Ben Zion ben Yehuda, was the first new Hebrew speaker. With many more Jews coming to Palestine, a newspaper called
Hatzvi.
and a curriculum was created. In 1890, the Hebrew Language Committee was established, the first Hebrew regulatory body. This movement unfortunately led to strifes with the conservative Jewish communities in Jerusalem at that time. With World War II and the Holocaust, the various Jewish communities in Europe and North Africa moved to Palestine to establish a Jewish country for Jews to live in. This all led to the movement of Zionism, the ethnic nationalist movement to establish a Jewish state through the colonization of a land outside of Europe. The unfortunate consequence of making a Jewish state, the State of Israel in 1948, was the deportation of many Palestinians in the area, resulting in 2 main territories, the State of Israel and the Palestinian territories. Though altogether it's called the Holy Land, as it holds great significance in Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, the 3 main branches of the Abrahamic religions. Though called the Holy Land, there have been many strifes, wars, and battles that have been fought over who owns this land specifically. There are around 9 million speakers of Hebrew within the Holy Land and in the various Jewish communities of the world. So that leads me to the question, what's Hebrew like? First, the script and pronunciation. As an object script, diacritics, which show vowels, can be added to consonants. Take the word for camel.
Gamal.
For many people who don't know the Hebrew script, it may be hard to recognize where the vowels are, because here you only see the root consonants, g, m, l, and note that in Hebrew it's written from right to left. We can add diacritics called
Nikud.
which indicate these vowels, but in most texts today, they're written without these. A dagesh can show either a consonant being geminated or doubled, for example in the word,
Nikud.
or to show a fricative as a stop consonant, v to b, f to p, ch to k. And related is this letter, which can either be s or sh. A diacritic can be used to show clarity, for sh versus s. In writing, some letters have two forms, one normal form and one form at the end of a word, ch, f, m, ts, and n. This also can be pronounced differently. Depending on the speaker, it can have a varying pronunciation, but in modern standard Hebrew, it's pronounced as a r consonant. Roots and derivations. The main feature of Semitic languages are root consonants that have a core meaning, and from these root consonants, you can make various words. For example, take this root meaning to write. We have k, t, v. Dictionaries will list the root with the third person singular masculine past tense form of the verb. In other words, he wrote. For this verb, it's
Katav.
Let's examine a few words that have this root. We have this word,
Tichtovet.
meaning correspondence or a mail exchange. We have
Achtava.
which means dictation,
Michtav.
which means a letter, and
Kituv.
meaning caption,
Tuviot.
meaning subtitles. And we also have
Lichtov.
the infinitive of the verb meaning to write. Typically, the infinitive has l or li. Related is another infinitive,
Leachtiv.
which means to dictate. Notice that in all of these words, ch or k to v, the roots, can all be seen in the word. Related are how verbs are conjugated. The root has the core meaning, then the patterns give more specific information. Take the verb meaning to drink, sh, t, h. Both these letters here, which are pronounced as h and as a glottal stop specifically in modern Hebrew today, are silent in modern dialects. Notice that in the past tense conjugations, there are various forms for person and number, and also for a gender for a few conjugations. Take this sentence meaning, I drank the juice with Daniel.
Shatiti mitz im Daniel.
To contrast that, let's look at the present tense forms. In the present tense, there are 4 forms that agree with number and person, making personal pronouns necessary to use, all of them being different, of course. So, in the present tense, I drink the juice with Daniel would be,
Ani shote mitz im Daniel.
and remember there are different forms,
Shote.
is the masculine form, while shata is the feminine. Possession. A possessive marker is used after the noun, with the definite article attached. The possessive marker, shell, has a suffix on it to indicate person. For example, to say my cake, it's.
Auga sheli.
However, I should also note that there are other forms for singular and plural forms for possessives. So we can also say,
Ugati.
and.
Ugotai.
Let's take a look at one final sentence. This sentence means, his wife and I drink hot milk.
האישה שלו ואני שותים את החלב החם.
Here we see the possessive marker shell in the third person masculine singular form. In other words, his, which comes after the noun. Here we see the personal pronoun for I, with v attached. V is the word for and, but here it's attached to the personal pronoun. Shotim here is the masculine plural form. With groups of people, the masculine form is used. And finally, the word for hot milk. Typically, if you have the definite article attached to both words, it's used to specify a specific type of noun. If there's no definite article on both, it just means the object in general. Hebrew is a very different language to others that many people have studied. On the surface, it seems very difficult. The main challenges to me seem to come from A, learning to read and write the language, and then B, learning how the root system works. But with practice, you'll be able to look at a root and know the general meaning, then be able to guess the meaning based on more specific evidence. But of course, that all takes time and effort. Despite the negativity that it has undergone through various millennia, it's still a very cool language. So let me ask you, to people who speak other Semitic languages, how familiar was Hebrew to you? And to people who've learned Hebrew, what were the most challenging parts? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd like to take this time to thank you all. We've just passed 1,000 subscribers, and I'm very happy. I don't know what to say, but thank you. I guess I never thought we'd get to 1,000 subscribers here. But thank you, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Until then, peace.